So this will serve your pre-recorded video lesson pertaining to our next topic in PST, and that would be lesson planning. So before we will starting on identifying or explaining what is lesson planning, let's know first the objectives or the goals for today's lesson. First is we need, or at the end of the class or the lesson, the student will explain or know what is lesson planning, the purpose, and even the alignment of lesson planning to the topic itself. Next, I will be introducing also the different parts or structure of types of lesson planning that in accordance to the pattern of NCBTS. And lastly, you will be creating your lesson planning for your activity or your requirements for semifinal examination or semifinal quarter. So let's move forward first on identifying what is lesson plan. But before that, let's unlock first this question. As a teacher, do we really need a lesson plan? Yes, of course. Because why? As we all know that lesson plan is very important in the field or in the work of a teacher, because lesson planning is the blueprint of the teacher, or it's like a contract of the teacher. This it is a plan that been organized that explains what will be what kind of class is there in each day, kung ano yung meron sa lesson ni teacher, kung anong meron doon sa activity ni teacher, nandoon lahat sa lesson planning. You cannot begin your lesson without lesson planning or without knowing the or without planning your class. So that is why I'm saying that lesson planning is like your contract. It's like a blueprint. In architecture, they have blueprint. Us as a teacher, we have lesson planning. This is the organizational ideas or plan of the teacher for the entire day of his or her class. So that is the reason why we really need to know what is lesson planning. Moving forward, of course, you will be planning your lesson plan not on that day of your class. You will be planning it ahead of time. So plan it tonight, then tomorrow you can have your lesson. If you will plan your lesson plan, you will make your lesson plan in before you discuss it. Of course, anong mangyayari? You will have a rushing topic or a rushing schedule. Magpanic ka. So you need to plan ahead of time, or you need to make ahead of time your lesson plan, because for you to know what is the flow of your discussion day by day. Kaya nga, here kaming mga teacher in General Education Department, we don't have a lesson plan because that is applicable now in basic education, but we have this so-called core syllabus. This core syllabus is somewhat connected or somewhat the same with lesson planning, because all of our plan and our to-do list in each day is in the course syllabus. So, other than that, of course, let's unlock now or identify what is lesson planning. In that question, you can associate what am I teaching, how will I teach it, who am I teaching, or even how will I know if the students understand the topic. That was actually a very good questions pertaining to how can you identify the lesson planning. So literally, when we say plan or lesson planning, it is a written guide for trainers. It is an order to achieve the intended learning outcomes. That's why I'm saying a while ago that this is very important for a teacher, for a teacher to plan her or his lesson. It is an organization of or order of thoughts of that day, and it is a guide of the teacher, and it is also a direction on learning, for example, objectives, equipment, instructional media, on even material requirements. And also it has a connected to the conduct of training. So that is what are the definition of lesson plan. And that's why a teacher detailed description of the course of instruction for an individual are the lesson. And lesson planning is a written guide of the teacher. It provides definition and direction. It provides guide, or it supports the topic, or it supports the lesson each day. So that's why we really need to have a lesson planning before we conduct our discussion, or before we do our discussion or even lesson. Okay, so that's define what is lesson planning. Going forward. So as since we've already done discussing the definition of lesson planning, let's move forward now on the purpose of lesson plan. So what do you think is the purpose of lesson plan? We have at least four purpose. We have used as guide for the teacher. That's correct. Provides direction, give teacher a sense of security and confidence, and provides record. And use as a guide for teacher, they it's literally said that they don't have to think on their feet. Why? Because the plan the lesson is already been planned. Aside from that, it gives the teacher a starting point, and they also build on previous teaching and prepare for upcoming lesson. So the purpose of lesson plan is not only on the new lesson that you have, it is also a continuation or a connection with the previous lesson that the teacher will be discussing. It also provides direction. Why? Because it literally gave clear procedure to follow, or it gives steps of procedure to follow. So that's why it's called it explains, or it is a provider of a good direction. Not only that, it gives a teacher sense of security and confidence. Why? Because the teacher has already been prepared. The teacher know already what she or he will be doing in that day, because she or he already planned the lesson. And it also provides records. Why? Because your assignment, application, your evaluation is there in the lesson planning. Not only that, it helps also to keep good classroom management. Why? When a lesson works well, students not only learn to behave, okay? And a classroom management plus well-designed lesson plan is a higher achieving students. So since you've already prepared your lesson, it can give also feedback, or it can give also a what feedback to the learners, that they can learn at the same time they will behave well, because in the lesson planning you have setting rules or setting the expectation of the classroom, and that makes your rules and regulation in each day. So that's why it also explains that the purpose of lesson plan is not only for the guide or support of the teacher, but it also a feedback to how the student will learn or behave in the classroom. Okay? Not only that, what to consider when writing a lesson plan? Aside from what is the purpose of lesson planning, what to consider when writing a lesson plan? There are actually three aspects on considering on writing a lesson plan. Number one, know your student. Number two, know the content. And number three, know the instructional material. So all of that has its own accompanied purposes, and that would be the reason why you will, that will be the consideration that you will be making in writing a lesson plan. And this figure is basically a very factual basis. Why? Because it came from PAYAC, and this is accompanied to a teacher vision. Okay, so that makes that's is your consideration in writing the lesson plan. First, know your students, know the content, know the instructional materials. So let's discuss that one by one. The key components of a lesson plan is number one, the profile, or the topic itself, or even the subject itself that you will be teaching. Number two, the objective. Objective is very important in writing the lesson plan. Why? Because your objective is accompanied on how you will be, what will be the topic that you will be discussing, and what will be the flow. And objective would be the main goal of the topic. And we also have materials and equipment. Of course, in teaching, you don't only need your mouth or your body to discuss, but also you will be needing references, equipments, or even materials. And one good and it is very applicable to your courses, because you are in line to the application field and you are medical technology. So that's why you will be needing materials or even an equipment. Next, we have the procedure. When we literally understand what is procedure, meaning to say it is the flow or the presentation of your topic. So in this procedure, you will be giving everything that you have in the discussion. You will be all of the information that came from the materials that you will be using is in this procedure already. Then lastly is the assessment. Of course, you've already plot everything that you have. You've already discussed everything. So now it is time now for the evaluation or the assessment. You will be assessing the student if they really understand what is your discussion all about. So that is the key components of lesson plan. And now, one good key components of lesson plan is number one is profile. In profile, we have objective, materials, equipment, procedure, and assessment. What is in the profile itself? Of course, the basic information about the lesson, the name of the lesson, the contributor or the references, the subject, the grade level, or even the students that you will be teaching. So since you will be practicing your teaching demo in my first year, so all of your grade level is first year college. We also have instructional setting or small group or even whole class. So this will be pertaining to your assessment. General description of the lesson and of course the standards or the limitation of the certain lesson. And for the objective also, determine what you want student to learn and be able to do. Focus on the concept or skill which you intend to teach. And in the objectives, we are very particularly on making this because we will be inlining on the theory of Benjamin Bloom, which is the domain. So, as I've said a while ago, objective is very important to know because it is accordance or accompanied with the connection of the theory of Benjamin Bloom's, and that is particularly on the three domain, and these are the cognitive, affective, and the psychomotor domain. So, if to explain it deeper, of course, as I've said, behavioral terms should be guided by the Bloom's taxonomy on or hierarchy of the intelligence that the person accompanied, and that is given by the person or philosopher called Benjamin Bloom. Benjamin Bloom is very known in the field of education because Benjamin Bloom is the one who created the domain, and that domain is very important in creating your objective. Bloom's taxonomy is a set of three models used to classify educational learning: objective into levels of complicity and specificity. As we all know, we have different multiple intelligence. So how can we accompanied or connect it to our goals each day in our lesson plan? We need to know the Bloom's taxonomy, and this or the Bloom's taxonomy, the beginning with the remembering. So it has its own terms that you can understand easily. When we say remembering, this is a kind of intelligence that it is basically on the basic concept: recalling, define, duplicating. You will just memorize what is being taught. And when we're trying to go to another level, we have understanding. It is higher than remembering because in understanding, the children or the student already know how to classify, describe, or even locate or even recognize the certain topic. Other than that, we also have application. So since we've already know or memorize or even repeat or state, then describe or even classify the topic, the student now will learn how to apply it with a real life situation or execute or even implement or even solve a certain topic, and that would be another way of Bloom's taxonomy. And we have analyze, and when we say analyze, it is pertaining to how the student can differ the topic on how can or they can now give the differences between the topic or differences between the situation that you will be giving to them. And afterward, evaluation, or you need to evaluate, and that would be the support or critic of the hierarchy. And lastly, we have the creation. And this creation, they know already how to design, they know already how to develop or even investigate or even formulate his or her own ideas. So that would be the intelligence pertaining to Bloom's taxonomy. And it is accompanied with our domain, and that would be first we have cognitive domain, affective domain, and the psychomotor domain. Okay, so these are the behavioral terms or verbs that is applicable on cognitive domain. And okay, ma'am, how can you can please be reminded, when we say cognitive, it is all about your thinking process. So you cannot use compare, or you cannot use judge if it is not applicable to a thinking. If your follow up sentence is not thinking, hindi mo siya pwedeng judge, hindi pwedeng appraise. So it's much more applicable if you will be using behavioral terms in cognitive, like define, state, recognize, or even name, identify, yan, or express. These are the behavioral terms that is very applicable on cognitive, because you all just defining or thinking the topic first. So wala ka memorizing the topic first. So as much as possible, you can use this compare, appraise, choose, or even this decide in your cognitive term if it is applicable to your sentence. If the sentence or the flow of the first domain or the cognitive domain in the objective is thinking only. Okay? Pero pag pero nilagyan, for example, evaluate the given cell, or even justify, or no, formulate or create cell cycle, like that, it's not the cognitive na, magiging psychomotor na siya, because you will be creating or formulating now the cell cycle. Ipapagawa mo na sa kanya. So cognitive verb or this cognitive domain is applicable for thinking only. So define cell, like that. Recall, cell cycle. State the steps in mitosis. That is the first objective that you have. Not only that, we also have affective. In affective, this is particularly on the feelings or emotions of, or the value, okay, or importance of your topic. So you can use accept, you can use show, you can use cite the importance, you can use acquire the importance. You can use these different behavioral terms. And lastly, we also have psychomotor verbs. Here in psychomotor, you will use what? Illustration, demonstration, create, arrange, yan, all of that. Magagamit mo siya in psychomotor, because psychomotor is the application now. The student will be creating now something. The student will be illustrating something. So you can create or you can use that kind of behavioral terms. So what are those terms that is not or we need to avoid in this or we need to avoid to use? What are those? These are know, because it's not measurable, learn, really know, understand, approach, or appreciate. So these are the words that to be avoid in making your objectives. Okay? So these are the behavioral terms that applicable to cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. Okay? So this is applicable on for essential 21st century. This is applicable to the senior high. So will not be explaining it furthermore, because it's not important to your lesson planning. So it is applicable to senior high school. So how can we attain the 4 essential? It's not included also. So let's move. It's applicable to senior high school. So these are the other way on key components of a lesson plan. And we are now on the needs of material. So what will you writing in material, since we've already done the profile, the objectives, we've already discussed the domain and the behavioral terms of each objectives. Now, in materials, you will be needing a PowerPoint presentation. Of course, in discussion, you not needed only your mouth, but hence you will be needed also a PowerPoint or a visual aid. We also be needing a references like textbook, journal articles, multimedia materials like instructional video or even audio, rubrics, job aid, or even the checklist. So that will be materials or equipment that you will be needing in creating a lesson plan. So curriculum guide is also applicable in senior high school or K-12 basic education program. So I will not be explaining it furthermore to you, because your lesson plan is in tertiary. So this is just in senior high. So next we have the equipment. So commonly used instructional equipment is the software application, and these are PowerPoint, media player. For computer equipment, we have computer, internet connection, or even video equipment, or even projector. Okay? For the outlining steps of teaching process, the procedure, it is very useful to know the instructional strategies and using the appropriate technique in your lesson planning. So in procedure or in your presentation, you will be deciding first what kind of methods or strategy that you will be using. Number one is, one good methods is a lecture method, or even a discussion method. So these are pertaining on, one good example is what I'm doing right now. It's just a lecture method or discussion method. But here, since you are medical technologies, you will be having a demonstration method. Why? Because you will be having a return demonstration of your student after the end of your discussion. Okay? So now the assessment, this is now the outcome of your topic. You will be assessing now the result of what you've already discussed by assessing the student. In creating an assessment, it's very important for you to connect your assessment to your objective. Okay? So that is assessment. Then another one is some commonly used assessment activities. You already know this: quizzes, tests, independent perform worksheets, comparative learning activities. This would be the peer sharing of ideas for a group, hands-on experiments which we literally be doing because you will be having your return demonstration. Oral discussion will usually done every day in my class. We have question and answer session. So this would be actually some commonly example of assessment. Okay? So this now explains the alignment objective. So as I've said, when we say cognitive, this is now your content, the thinking skills. When we say affective, this is now the value infusion, the importance of the topic. When we say psychomotor, this is the application. You will tending to let your student create or apply the discussion or the topic that you will be discussing to their real life situation. So that would be the objectives. Okay? So this is now the content of your lesson planning. Number one, the lesson plan that we will be using is semi-detailed lesson plan. So would be the flow of the lesson plan. Ganito rin ang pagkakasulat. So semi-detailed lesson plan for general chemistry 1, or semi-detailed lesson plan for anatomy and physiology, cytogenetics, genetics. You will be writing it, and that will be your subject. What will be the subject that you will be teaching? Subject ha, not the topic itself. Subject. Okay? Then for the objectives, itong content standard, performance standard will not be related in your lesson planning. Hindi na kailangan to. So, moving now to the learning competency objective. So, your objective will be starting on, at the end of the lesson, the learners are expected to, number one, describe separation techniques for mixtures and compounds. It is a cognitive. Why? Because the behavioral terms that use is describe and it is pertaining to the content. Number two, acquire the importance of the learning the separation techniques for mixtures and compounds. It is effective because you will be now knowing the value or importance of your topic. And third one is demonstrate separation techniques for mixtures and compound. It is psychomotor because literally you will be letting your student to have return demonstration. Okay? Then, number two components would be is content. In content, we have subject matter. You will be writing the subject matter that you will be teaching. The subject is general chemistry, but the topic would be matter and its properties, or methods of separating mixture into them component substances. So that is subject matter. Now, then, we have number three would be the learning resources. Anong meron sa learning resources? We have the references. Number one, the teacher's guide. You just not included the teacher's guide. It's okay na hindi na ito ilagay. Just put the learner material pages. So your learner material pages is the textbook pages. So you can put the name of the author, and aside from the textbook pages, you can also give additional materials from learning resources portal or like link from a given site that you've already needing in your references. Pwede kang link, pwedeng Google material na kinuha mo sa internet, pwedeng ilagay dito. For the other learning resources, materials, all IMs that you will be using, that would be projectors, visual aids, marker, erasers, everything. You can put it in materials because when we say IM, instructional material ng teacher, kung anong mga material na ginagamit mo sa loob ng classroom mo. So that will be projector, laptop, marker, eraser, visual aids, all of that, ilagay dyan. Science concept, this is applicable on us because we are in a line of medical field. So we need to know the science concept of each topic. So the science concept would be the main idea. For example, your topic is cell. So what is cell? Types of cell, like prokaryotic, i-breakdown mo yan, tapos lagyan mo ng definition. Like for example, another good example is if your topic is cell division. So what is cell division? What is cell cycle? Ilagay mo dyan. So ang paglagay mo sa main idea of your lesson is number 1, ang topic mo, cell division. So ilalagay mo cell division, then definition ng cell division. Cell cycle, definition ng cell cycle. Stages ng cell division, PMAT, definition nila. Ganon. All of the main idea or terminologies in your topic, put it in a science concept. Okay? And lastly, we have teaching method. Sa teaching method, you will be writing discussion method and demonstration method. Kasi you will be discussing first, then afterwards, you will be letting your student to have a return demonstration. After also you discuss, you also do demonstration. Kasi nga, we are in line in medical field. Okay? Next would be the learning activities or procedure. So this now, the flow of your topic. Number 1 is the preliminary activity. And that will, you will be writing just the prayer, greetings. Yun lang. Ilalagay mo lang din yan, checking of attendance. Then, dito na sa setting of class standards, create your own rules and regulation. Ilalagay dyan. Okay? Then, passing and checking of assignment. Then, review. Sa review, anong ilalagay? You put the topic na you want to review. Like, for example, a set of question. Since your topic is cell division, you will be reviewing the definition of cell cycle. What is cell cycle? What is cell? So that will be the review portion of your class. So sa review, pwede mong ilagay a set of question. 1 to 2 question, okay na yon. Then for the motivation, you will be writing the energizer that you choose. So to catch the interest of your student before starting the discussion, maglagay ka ng motivation mo. A term of a game, walang problema, pero lagyan ng instruction. Motivation, then instruction. The class would be divided into 2. Ganon. Give the instruction of your energizer, and of course, name your energizer. Give the title. Like for example, charade, 4 picks, 1 word. Yan. Then, dapat may instruction na nakalagay sa motivation. Then, letter B would be developmental activity. This will be the entire content or the entire presentation that you have. What is in your PowerPoint, you will be writing here in developmental activity. Kasi kapag nakita kong kaliit-liit lang ang sinulat mo dyan, balik yan sa'yo. So, in creating a lesson plan, it's not very easy at all because you will be writing it in a cursive way. Okay? Take note with that. So, in presentation, you will be putting all of your PowerPoint, the content of your PowerPoint, ilagay dito. Okay? This would be your discussion proper. Then, next, we have closure activity, and that would be application, and this would be aligned now with your psychomotor. So, since we have this so-called demonstration, you will be letting the student to have demonstration. So, your application activity here is a set of what? A set of return demonstration. So for example, your topic would be PPE. So you will be letting, or you will be giving an activity that the student will return demo the topic itself, which is PPE. So create also the instruction of your activity. Then the value infusion, this is actually a set of questions given by the teacher, set of questions that orally given by the teacher. So it is aligned to the affective domain, which is the importance of your topic. So you can ask at least 1 to 3 questions here, and it should be why or how. Okay, it should be why, how, questions. Okay, so that would be value infusion. So again, it should be aligned on the affective, or how important is your topic are. Okay, so you can ask the student by literally telling why it is important to study cell. Ganon. How can you relate the stages of cell division in a human body? Ganon. Pwede. You can ask the student. So value infusion is literally a given by the teacher, or a set of oral recitation of the teacher. Okay, the next we have evaluation. They make sure this evaluation also align with your objective. Evaluation is a set of question. So ang limit niya, hindi siya bababa ng 10. So you have to make questions that accompanied with 10 questions. Okay, so you can do anything, identification, true or false, enumeration, but always remember that put the instruction. Okay, sige, it is pwede din, you can make it as a quizzes, or a pen and paper quiz. Pwede yon. So it is a set of 10 questions, and it's up to you if you want it in enumeration, identification, true or false, multiple choice, as long as you put instructions. Okay, and lastly we have the assignment. So assignment is very important for the student to know what would be the next topic that you will be discussing. So the assignment would be your next topic. For example, research in advance the meiosis, since you've already done cell division or mitosis. So research the stages of meiosis. Pwede na yon. That would lead with your assignment. Then, the last part would be prepared by and your name. Okay? So, that would be the set or the flow of lesson planning. Okay? Any questions, clarifications? So, that is the flow of your lesson planning. So, if you have no more question, clarification, so your task for today, if you've already done watching my video, your task would be create your own lesson plan. It's up to you what kind of subject it is, what kind of topic it is, it's okay. The flow would be my given flow, like this. Okay? Ito ang magiging flow nyo. So that would be your task for today. I will be letting you to create your own lesson plan. Saan siya isusulat, ma'am? In a A4 bond paper, in a cursive way. Kapag hindi cursive, hindi ko bibigyan ng puntos. Again, that lesson plan will serve as 80 points for the first try. Second try, I will be deducting minus 20 if you did not get the first try. Okay? Or if you did not get at all the lesson plan. So, don't worry, I will be giving you also an example, good example of lesson plan na naka-cursive na. So, that explains our topic for PST. For the whole duration of semifinals, we will be writing lesson plan. So, I want you to prepare your fingers because magsusulat tayo ulit ng paulit-ulit for you to prepare in your semifinal examination. Okay? So if there's no more questions, clarification, if you have questions, clarifications, you can ask it in our GC. So thank you so much, everyone. Happy holidays.